month in advance, like what my quit date was going to be. And so I think that stuff all really helped. And it's all shit I read. So anybody else trying to quit smoking, I actually definitely recommend like following the steps that you can find different places online, because I tried like cold turkey several times and I'm still not there yet. I got a long ways to go. I'm just saying this has been so much easier than any time I tried to like do a cold turkey. It's been really, 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 really nice. But sure. Speaking of cutting back and all that and drinking, what are you drinking?
Excuse me.
What are you consuming?
Yeah, well, I'm going real white trash with it again. I got my early times danger juice once again, chasing it with Diet Mountain Dew.
Yeah. All right.
You can see I'm making progress.
Hell yeah.
Oh man. So yeah, not much to speak on what I'm drinking, but I have had a hell of a week, man. I gotta say, like so it all started on Tuesday. I know the week starts on Sunday, but my week started on Tuesday. What I'm talking about, on Tuesday I woke up and I went to work, and it was 95 degrees with like 85% humidity in the morning.
Jesus.
And it was fucking miserable. I do my first few stops, and then at one of the stops, I had to wait for an hour and a half to even unload their order because they were busy doing something else. So that pissed me off. Then in the afternoon, we get thunderstorms rolling through. It starts pouring rain, so I'm delivering in the pouring rain. I slipped and fell off the back of a truck.
Shit.
Which, is not a small fall, mind you. Like it's not like I'm driving a pickup. This is basically like falling off a semi. I bruised the fuck out of my leg. I fell into the street on top of my handcart. Just had a miserable day altogether. The caveat, the main focus of this day that made it so terrible is that I think I hit a guy. Let me explain. So I was down in Racine, and I pull up to this intersection. It's a 3-lane road, right? And the right lane is blocked off by cones. But I get into this intersection, and the cones stop. So as soon as I'm in the intersection, I throw on my blinker, and I start moving over to the right. I never saw this happen, but all of a sudden, I'm moving over to the right, and I hear just a ton of tire screeching behind me. And I'm looking around, looking in the mirrors, like, what the fuck is going on? Like, what's that? And all of a sudden, I see this car, like, fishtailing, like, right up my ass. And I don't know, like, so immediately my thought is, like, did I run into this person? Like, what the fuck? Like, because for me to hit them, they would have had to try to sneak within like the 3 feet of clearance between me and the cones when I'm moving.
So it would have been on them to some degree, or to a very large degree. Okay.
Because like I'm an attentive driver. Like I check my mirrors before I just move over.
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden I see this car flying all over the place, and they're still like right up my ass. Like I have a backup camera that I can turn on.
And that's nice. Hell yeah. I guess, of course, you would have those now, but yeah, it's pretty standard.
It's way nicer than not having one.
No kidding.
That only, because of the angle, when you turn that on, you can only see like 4 feet behind you, really. And I can see the nose of this guy's car in that backup camera. Like, he's right up my ass. And he's swerving around back there for a minute, and then he gets in the lane to the left of me, and so here was my confusion. If I hit you, wouldn't you want to like get beside me and flag me down, honk your horn, like get me to stop? You know?
Well, yeah. So that's why I would assume you didn't hit him.
Well, yeah. So that was the thing, is that he got in the left lane and just punched the gas, like got the fuck out of there. So that kind of makes me think, A, I didn't hit him, or B, he knew that shit was his fault and he didn't want to deal with it.
Right. Well, especially because like you being in a work truck, like it can turn into like a whole fucking ordeal. There was this one time when I was Uber driving, and I just like, it was downtown Milwaukee, and I admittedly got a ride, and I looked down at my phone for a second, and I just barely tapped the bumper of like an AT&T or a Time Warner Direct, just one of those vans, white vans with the logos on it for one of those types of places, and got to pull over, of course, because it was enough that it made things move, but it wasn't like the dude noticed, of course, like that I tapped him, but it wasn't like a big deal, And so we got to take all these pictures, and he's got to immediately like send them to his like boss and shit. And there's like the smallest fucking like tiny little fucking divot on like his bumper, and he's like, well, that right there. And it looked like he could have dropped a hammer and it could have like happened, like over the course of the day, and well, that's the damage. God, and he's, he wasn't really being a prick, but he was being way more serious about what happened. But again, because it's his job and all this shit. So man, this is what the guy, right. But the thing I came up with, like the perfect way to like get out of like accident shit is like, prove it didn't look like that this morning. You got a picture from this morning? Oh,
yeah. Well, like, so I noticed that the dude that I maybe hit on his, on the driver's side, like that front panel that's over the wheel.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
There was like a dent. So I'm like, maybe, because that would have been where I would have hit him. But I checked I was close to one of my stops, so when I stopped at the next place, I did look at the truck, and there was no marks whatsoever, which actually kind of made me feel better, because even if I did hit him, it's like, well, there's no paint scrapes, there's no marking on my truck, so like, right. prove it.
That reminds me of one other time. It's just a dumb story. I'll be quick about it, but I was like 16 in the first car I ever had, and I was in Saukville. And there was like a pretty good amount of traffic. This was going down, like right past where the cop shop is, actually, like Dairy Queen and all that stuff. 33, right? And there's a good amount of traffic. It's like after work one day. It gets busy enough there for where it is, right off the highway and shit. And this lady slams on the brakes to try to turn into one of the like strip malls. Like, I don't really need to explain the whole thing because that doesn't matter, but she just slams on the brakes. She realizes that she like missed her turn, and she like tries to turn left. Well, I slam on my brakes. I don't hit her, but the guy behind me fucking slams into me, causing me then to hit her. Like, so he was going pretty fast. Like, he pushed my car forward. Well, so we all stop. I get out of my car. I go walk up to his window, and he's just sitting there. He had to be stoned out of his mind. He's like, what the hell happened here? And I'm like, you fucking ran into my car.
What do you think?
Like, you just caused this. I know that I like was probably tailing that lady a little too closely, but so was he tailing me too closely, and I stopped without hitting her, so he caused the whole fucking thing. What happened here? But speaking of stupid people and vehicles, here's a pretty good one. So it turns out that 20% of Ford employees stopped showing up to work because they enacted a mask mandate. 20%. 20% of people.
That's a big 20%.
And what really stuck out to me about this one, and this is really the theme of my topics here today, and I like to get into like contradictions or just the way that, people make these political statements, but they actually don't agree with their politics. And I like to point all these things out. I just find it to be incredible that the people who spend so much time bitching about how other people don't want to go to work and other people want government handouts and yada, yada, yada. Oh, you got no work ethic. These people, they don't want to go to work. That because somebody asks you to wear a mask, you wouldn't show up to work. Like, that just blows my mind that like somebody would choose to not go to their job because of like wearing a mask.
No, well, like, I don't know how you would afford to.
Yeah.
I can only speak from a personal level, but I would have to assume that, and maybe I could be wrong, but I would have to assume that these people are unvaccinated. So, like, that's why they have to wear a mask. So, yeah, fuckhead. Like, maybe you don't deserve a job then. if you just can't do a small thing. Like I understand like working in a factory or something like that is not an easy job, especially when you have to wear a face covering. Like it makes it hard to breathe if it's like a hot environment or whatever. I get it. But you shouldn't have to wear a mask unless you didn't get vaccinated. So you're shooting yourself in the foot, and now you're being a fucking idiot by walking out and like, no one wants to work. Yeah, you don't want to work because of a small thing. Fuck you.
Well, I gotta say, they are actually, a lot of places are trying to go back to some sort of masking again because the Delta variant has been breaking through the vaccine so much. So like, there's even a gas station up here that like they're not telling people they have to wear masks, but they do like request that every customer wears one. They're not saying you got to, but they ask politely if you would, you know, like so it is turning around. It's not just the vaccinated or unvaccinated, but you did hit it on the head. Like it's such a simple thing. Like you must just not want to work. And that's what like really stuck out to me about that story of, because like, this is the party, the people who belong to this fucking idealism or whatever is all about hard working and yada, yada, yada. And you won't even like wear a mask. And this is funny too, because like it's a car like manufacturer. Now I don't know if they actually like paint the cars by hand or did like the metals or the whatever, the plastic just comes colored now. I don't know how that fucking shit works, but like
no, there are still people who paint it.
But okay, so here's the next one. With everybody that is mad about schools trying to have mask mandates, like to some degree, what I started realizing there is like, this is where people take their kids to learn. So they're taking their kids to a building and they're saying, trust what the people tell you inside this building, where they teach things like science, you know, where somebody could go and learn about like, well, anything, you know, everything about the world. But then, so they're all worried about like, oh, my kid's not going to have social skills if they got to wear a fucking mask, you know, or whatever. Like they're not going to learn that. Well, they're also going to learn to defy authority and not listen to anything that the people are telling them inside the school, because you're telling them not to listen to the very first thing you want them to do when going in the door.
Oh, I love where you go with that. That's great. Like, you're absolutely right. I mean, yeah, don't trust what any authoritative figure tells you, but also, like, we're mad that we can't send you to school without having you do what the authorities are telling you to do.
Like, I mean, how are the kids, how do we think any of these kids are going to receive any of the information their teachers are telling them when their parents are saying that the teachers are the adversaries, basically, and that the people who want to set these mask mandates shouldn't be respected or listened to? Because the parents actually don't want the education, they want the free daycare. You know, because it's like what you should do is, if you don't want to put your kid in a mask and you're smarter than doctors and everybody else, why don't you homeschool your kid? No, you just have to take them to school because you need the childcare. And then at the same time, you don't want to fucking, you know, have to like have your kid put on a mask. But at the same time, these people need their own childcare because it is the most childish thing. Like, well, I don't want to wear a mask. Okay, go get a vaccine. Then you won't have to wear a mask. Well, I don't want to get a vaccine. Well, then you got to wear a mask, but I don't want to wear a mask. I just want everything to go back to how it was in 2019. Can't we just have everything be normal again? Like, I just like completely disconnected from reality.
Yeah, well, yeah, wishful fucking thinking, you goddamn dolt. Like, yeah, of course, yeah, we want things to go back to the way they were, and you need to do this for that to happen. Get it through your fucking thick skull.
And here's an amazing thing. They've been doing data, and places that actually are more vaccinated and have been like wearing masks or whatever are, surprise, surprise, wildly outperforming economically like the fucking red states who haven't been masking or doing anything, you know? It's not rocket science, people. You know, but yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. A lot of places, you know, like especially like out in California with like the most extreme of the shutdowns and all that, did fuck up the economy hard, like maybe more than they should have. However, like it's no surprise that places that are now allowed to open back up more because more people are vaccinated and it's not such an issue, that they